Distress. Things have lost their appeal. A lesson about moving forward. I had been married to my wife for 8 years. Our 3 lovely kids are our possessions. She had been lying to me about my business 4 years prior, telling me we had money, but once the firm failed, we were left penniless and had 3 children. Ignoring me, she went to her mother to place the blame for the failure on me. In the course of 6 months, we made up and grew closer. I launched a brand new company. She discovered and started utilizing the money I had begun to hide. After then, it's secure. She also located the code. In the interim, I was holding grudges. She might be dangerous to my family, I was thinking. When the company failed, she abandoned us and left us for dead. She could never be honest with me. I persisted nonetheless, hoping to pull it off. I love her, even if I wasn't happy. 5 days prior, she had informed me to go and that she wanted to separate. I did, but I'm in such pain and my kids are so hurt that I'm disintegrating and can't think of what to do. I've known her for 12 years. She recently became friends with a girl whose spouse abandoned her 3 months prior, unexpectedly. Additionally, they are together all the time. Although she denies it, I believe she is seeing someone else. How can I hold on? I'm holding on here, still. When I saw her tonight with the kids, I looked at her closely and asked myself why I am making a sick person out of myself over her. Compared to Sports Illustrated, she has more problems. A horrible upbringing, weight problems, self-worth. She also requires assistance, never understands, and as a result, I'm in pain. It is incorrect. She kept taking money from me without explaining why. Regarding her buddy, you mentioned that she had a red rose from her friend in her car and that she posted a "I love you" message on Facebook. It's strange that you brought that up. Does anything like this actually occur? How do you feel? I've been away from my wife for the past 3 weeks. It is only tonight that we have cleaned the air. However, she started going out with her closest friend after she and I split up, whose husband left her 5 months ago with 3 kids. Then, I noticed flowers in my wife's car and she told me they were from her friend. The next thing I knew, though, was that she seemed to be spending nights at her friend's house with all 6 kids, and my oldest child confirmed this every time I texted her. "I love you," her pal wrote on Facebook. But tonight, when we were able to have a quiet conversation, I asked her whether she was seeing anyone, and she admitted that she was interested in another person. Then she started laughing and stated, "I'm a lesbian." She responded, "No, I'm kidding, but it's a guy she met at work," when I asked how serious I was. When I asked her what he worked at the large hospital, she remained silent. There was nothing she would tell me. They were only dating, too. Not even what he did at the hospital was disclosed to me by her. She commented that it was good to be valued once more and that I hadn't done so in a long time. We decided to get a divorce, and although I'm devastated, I'm seeing a lawyer tomorrow. She explained that the only thing she needed from me was some cash to support her and her kids. Not a bully on the court. My life is ruined. However, I'm questioning whether her best friend is the only guy in the world. I find it unbelievable how your life can change from normal to an absolute nightmare in a matter of days. Is anyone experiencing this? I'm still struggling to hold on. We went to lunch, I got my baby gifts, and I saw my babies. My wife obviously hurried off to be with someone. She returned looking unkempt. I'm really devastated. How was she able to accomplish this? Even though she's made my life miserable since we first met, I finally know that I adore her. What makes me love her so much? Now that I'm drinking by myself, I feel like this might be the final time they see my suffering. Fantastic. I've survived yet another day. The only emotion I felt all day was jealousy, which made today difficult. When I picked up the kids last night, I could see that my wife was being touched by someone. She could be with someone else, but how? We were very close and affectionate once. I'm curious about this person's identity, but I'm not sure. I still find it difficult to see my children. It's devastating. It hurts, but not in the same way. It is more profound. Even if I didn't cry today, I can't shake my jealousy. I'm currently attempting to come up with strategies, such as having my ex-wife continue to deposit company funds to the bank. Since she hasn't asked for money for the kids or the bills, I think I should let her. Then again, I think I should change the account and shut her off. She acts as though nothing is wrong and that our relationship is still intact. Hello, are there any deposits? She continues to monitor the account daily to ensure that I can operate, as it swings rapidly. As if to gauge our current situation, she asks me if I've purchased a boat and if I've phoned the mediator. I had a rough start to the day due of those dreams. They arrive and depart. I've been away from my wife and children for 4 whole days, therefore my emotions are like being on an emotional roller coaster. I was sent to NYC, but there was no call or any communication. Everything is going to drastically change. My kids are so far away from me now in terms of time. Though she believes she has the decency to at least communicate, my wife is a freak. We were a family not more than a month ago, but now there is complete isolation. I'm starting to think that my wife may be suffering from a severe personality problem or mental illness. Head case, but there's serious danger here. She replied that she was seeing someone when I directly asked her if she was. That they were co-workers. I sensed the end of our love. Our last close moment was a year ago. I was really not wanting to touch her after learning that she was somehow breaking into the safe. She had repeatedly told me lies. I doubt I will ever be able to forgive her for ruining my other company. Even at the worst of times, we continued to be a family and enjoy our time together. It's heartbreaking that she would simply go on to someone else and ignore me. She never had a gambling problem, but she did have a problem with shopping. Ironically, I had assumed that I would be the one to go before her. I burnt up and crashed. Why is it that I can't comprehend who I am? It's really a horrible day for me. I can't stop crying. There seems to be no hope and everything is growing darker. Nothing is evolving. I no longer feel as connected to my family. Never before have I gone so long without them. I feel so alone. There is no way out of this, I promise. Now I can't even look at the children. They will disintegrate. Things are not improving. I have no idea what to do. I guess I'm going to be going through another phase of this. I spoke with kids when my wife returned from her trip to New York City. My wife is smoking like a chimney and appears to be very unhappy. It's a complete wreck, and I have her car to fix. Filthy, smelly, and she always maintained perfection. I see her virtually every day at the salon next to my shop, but we don't really talk much. She seems so aloof. We never even discuss the kids or anything else, even though it appears like she has a massive wall. She seemed upset with me, even though it was she who desired our break. She raises no questions about what we're going to do, how much she needs, or anything else. She was interested to know why my boat sale fell through, having heard about it. She is aware that I will survive on it. She acts in such an odd way. Today is not going well for me. It seems like Sundays are difficult. I'm not feeling well. This morning, I picked up the kids and brought them to the house. My spouse stated she was leaving. She wasn't home when I got there, I guess, with the other guy. I departed when my mother-in-law brought the kids in. To be honest, I'm not sure whether I can pull it off. Right now, I'm considering supporting her and managing this company. Living will also be too taxing on my finances and emotions. My life and my wife still elude me. I'm making an effort to look after myself, but occasionally I just want to give up. Such a downer. I went trick-or-treating with the kids, and I ran into my neighbors when we got back. They informed me that this man has been walking my kids, raking the yard, and maintaining the fence. There, he occasionally stays. I went to my wife. She introduced him to me and said how polite he was. I informed her that I didn't feel comfortable having him around my kids in that way. She became combative, stating that although she didn't think it would be serious, someone had shown her affection and that her neighbors had even talked to this guy after they left the party. They reported that after leaving the guy at the party for 2 hours, my wife was crying and running home. I'm not sure why. Since I am a well-known company owner in the town, everyone is shunning my wife, not the police. After that, I spoke with her and asked her if he was kind. If I don't know him, I'm glad for her even if I understand that he might take my girls on a stroll by himself. How in the hell? Subsequently, I informed her that I may obtain a court order to safeguard my kids. Don't threaten me with the law, she said. But in between, we discussed how much we still loved one another and how we would eventually fall in love again. I mean, we kissed and hugged each other. I became enraged and declared that I did not want this guy to walk my children by himself. Oh, she came into the store today and requested for $1,000 since she had once again made financial mistakes. To pay my $250 each week, I wrote a check and attached it to the child support for November. Why do I have to write child support? She sobbed. How in the hell? After I left tonight, my babies called to beg me to return home and for someone to assist them. I'm starting to go mad now. I want to take her to court and use the legal system to tear her apart right now. My underprivileged kids lend a hand. What kind of mother would let a new guy to take my kids for walks by themselves? I'm dying. My children, oh my God, they called and begged me to come home because they were in need of me. My oldest has serious emotional issues, which only I can relate to and support. Right now, I believe my wife to be a complete crazy, letting my children go for walks with this man. I can't bear her by herself. Regarding the other man, I could care less. I don't care that I gave her the house, she can't afford it and will lose it. He is a child who will leave and duck. My children's safety is my top priority, and I will stop at nothing to ensure that they are. I don't give a damn about her anymore since she is destroying the emotional stability of my kids. She is a clearly insane human being who is unstable, harmful, and malevolent. And the judge will see it too, if I can see it. Mothers do not always come out on top. They don't, as you will discover if you read about her past behavior, since I've recorded everything she said. Additionally, the kids want to be with me right now. I discovered the man dating my wife was a convicted criminal. I had the police come get him, and during his time there, he touched my daughter's arm. I took the kids to my brother's house. She acknowledged that she knew he was a felon with outstanding warrants, but she still let them be around my children. Can you believe I have to go to court now? She is still in the hospital, and I have children. I recently learned that 4 years ago, a buddy of mine discovered her having sex with one of my coworkers on the office desk. With this woman, it never ends since she is a remarkable liar and her entire marriage was built on falsehoods. He was furious and yelled at her, but I think she dissuaded him from telling me how miserable he felt. She has been a disobedient partner in our marriage, and she used to keep the mail hidden from me. Now, however, I'm receiving credit cards in my name that I never applied for, and I wonder if I will need to use them in court. After a few days, I found myself here, raising the children by myself after my mother-in-law moved out. It's really difficult, but I'm doing my hardest. I'm having trouble getting to work and the shop is struggling. I can't afford this place on my own, so I'm starting to worry about the future. And why do I still think about my ex? I think that codependency is the reason. When we were together, I could scarcely stand her. She is a huge loser who went overboard with the guy who moved. What is wrong with me? She knew I was going to call her, but she never showed up when I called her today to ask if she wanted to see the kids. After her previous try, she appears to be a disaster. But Bandit, it's been a while since I felt happy and in love with her. She used to lie to me all the time, asking how I could love someone so much. I'm beginning to emotionally release my wife. I genuinely feel sorry for her because of how impoverished she is. Because her buddy doesn't want her there and Children's Services wants to go in, she had to walk out of their friendship. She also doesn't have any children. She is stuck in a deep hole that she did not intend to be in. I've been able to acquire everything. The children, the home, my company, and the finances. I refused her request for money so she could get an apartment. I also have an accomplished lawyer on my side. The attorney my wife saw in court told her she was in a bad situation. When you prepare your bed and sleep on it, you run the risk of receiving a bad karma. Additionally, I've met someone pleasant, but I'm moving extremely slowly because all of this has only recently occurred a few months ago. This is my updated version of me. The truth always triumphs in the end, and lies and deceit are defeated. I've seen firsthand the incredible things God is capable of accomplishing. My wife is still residing at her friend's after 1 week. I haven't given her any further cash. She doesn't often see kids, but I have allowed her to. I'm not positive, but I think she might be back with that jerk. Can you believe she chose a dirtbag over her kids? Her wife told my oldest child that she could skip school and spend time with her mother without asking, and her mother started to undermine me telling the kids things. I offered her the chance to interact with kids, but I don't want kids to see her if she is with this loser because of her severe behavioral and mood swings. I informed her that, although I tried, she was undermining me and that, going forward, she should get in touch with my lawyer, tell her mother to stop using these adorable kids as pawns, and SMS me. She should never phone or text me again. I told her off for being disgusting. My family and I are the center of my castle since I have no idea what they are capable. A horrible boyfriend, a mentally unstable wife who may be taking medication, and an inebriated mother make for an unpleasant combination. But since I now have the upper hand, I have no fear of any of them. My children, who are harmed by everything, come first. When I lived at the business, my little Sydney would cry and ask on the phone when I was coming home. I'm at home now, though. She never makes her mother's request. How depressing is that? It was once my dream to grow old with this woman, to see these children through college and into marriage and then into old age with my wife. Obviously, this is untrue. After my wife forced me into that $700,000 bankruptcy, I truly stopped loving her. Her hurt was irreparable, and I should have moved on from her 4 years ago because those were codependent feelings rather than true love. Please keep in mind that you cannot love someone who lies to you all the time. Don't try to convince yourself otherwise. As for the karma I mentioned earlier, well, it keeps coming back to haunt her. Her engine blew on the highway, and they were about to take back the vehicle. It took 400 state police towing it out. She owes $7,000, the engine costing $2,000, and she is behind $800. Nothing will ever come to her from the universe to make up for the horrible decisions she made. Not a car, kids, house, money, or anything else. What more is there? After a month, since I feel 100% now, I actually forget how horrible I felt. But when I read my posts, I can't help but cry. Never imagine the result. Children are doing well, they're simply figuring out how to be both parents at once. This part is the hardest, laundry. As you may guess, managing the business, the house, and 3 children keep me quite busy. 2 weeks earlier, the wife has filed a motion for custody, went to court and appeared foolish. The motion was turned down. Just by the fact that she filed 2 months after having a serious breakdown, I can see how ill she really is. I keep going, although it annoys me to deal with her. I've agreed to let her come, but it was really awkward when she and her mother arrived yesterday. I felt trapped and outnumbered. I'm not sure what to do because now she wants to go see them on Christmas morning with her mother. Her mother and she both exhibit instability, and I'm sure they'd prefer that I go. I am entirely to blame for this, for whatever reason. My fault, not hers. Somehow, I made her use my credit cards, touch my children, move a criminal in my bed, and cheat. Take medicine and attempt self-ex. It's all my fault. They've persuaded themselves. I've been letting the ex visit a week later, but she prefers unsupervised time. In February, we have a child support court scheduled. So, I discovered that the criminal who had taken over my house had a picture of my kids and ex on it. Facebook, by the way, has repulsive videos and medications, so I requested her to delete them. She has now denied being with him, even in front of the judge. I texted her, and her phone responded stating I could post whatever I wanted to with the duck. Avoid you. You're a loser, therefore I stopped talking to you because it seemed to be him. She texted me the following morning, claiming to have passed it to me, but I didn't notice a forward message. Why do you suppose she remains with him? If so, could she ever see children? Please assist me, I'm not sure. She did call today, and I promptly hung up on her. She must be upset because she called back 12 times in 5 minutes. I attempted to reach someone when I called the Department of Children for guidance, but I was unable. To sum up, 2 weeks after my PTA wife and I split up, she moved in with a nasty guy. I gave him to the police, she attempted to commit adultery, and I was granted custody of the kids in the house. She begged to go home, but I refused. She had moved into a friend's house, so I assumed she had reconnected with the loser. However, she had gone to see some kids and wanted to take them to McDonald's. She denied being with him in the stench, but when I told her I wasn't foolish, she eventually acknowledged it. I had put the kids in the van, but all I could smell was the medication. She had earlier claimed to be speaking with him alone. After I left, she texted me to let me know that she needed support, wanted to start over, and wanted to break up with him. She told me she wanted her former life back and that she didn't understand why she was never able to tell the truth when we met at the donut shop today. She claimed she needed assistance since there was a problem with her. Well, what should I do now? I'm terrified. She is an obsessive liar who put some loser over her kids, her home, her dog, her way of life, you name it. I'm really perplexed. Should I assist her? Should I let her suffer or should I allow her to return? In the past 5 years, she has twice made me go through hell, destroyed a company I owned, and now this. I have, however, supported her consistently. Do you believe she is far too erratic to be a partner? It's difficult to raise 3, 6, and 8 children on your own. Is this woman a threat? After 2 months, I won't be able to explain to you why I take certain actions on this journey because it has taken so many turns, but I really am living by faith and instinct. It may benefit some and harm others, but everyone can learn from it. My daughter was still in the hospital after we got rid of the lawyers. I went to see her with my wife on a day off, and the poor girl was going through so much hardship that it was heartbreaking. As you may have noticed from my previous blogs, I was exhausted from everything. Worn out, my spouse and I went out to eat and chat after we saw her. That, however, resulted in a real meeting yesterday. Don't ask about a sexually intimate physical meeting. The next thing you knew, my daughter and I were leaving the hospital and traveling to Orlando, spouse included. We spent a week there as a family, and it was wonderful to see my kids and watch them happy, spouse included, joyful. My wife has not left the house since we got back, and I didn't ask her to. She desires to remain. My 8-year-old asked me whether mommy was staying the first night we got back, and I told her that she was. She gave me the largest smile, clenched her fist, and said, yes. When I told her that she was living here, she yelled, yes, and asked if she could watch us tomorrow. Even if it has only been a few days, she has changed. After all, everyone is unique. I don't know why I chose this course of action, it defies logic. In the end, I took the choice. I have been keeping a careful eye on my wife as she becomes a mother once more. She clearly loves her children. She expressed how overwhelmed she is with fear, remorse, and shame. Doesn't know why she acted in the way she did. Undoubtedly, there is a problem there. I might never find out. It is accurate. Everything. All of the content you have read about me thus far. Can I ever truly trust her? No. Will she act erratically once more? Indeed. Years may pass as they have. Will my marriage ever be completely happy? No. Are my children content? Indeed. For your children, what would you do? Once more, we are all a family. After a week of getting back together, she says she doesn't want to get married, which has completely trapped me. She claims we can live together and lead separate lives, but how can this work when I can't leave because of the kids and I don't trust her? My kids may believe that everything is all right, but that isn't the case. I suppose there was too much harm done in the past, and now I'm grieving once more. What about my kids? Again, she told me on Sunday that she didn't feel the same about living with me in the house and that she didn't want to get married. I so truly just didn't talk to her on Monday. Then on Tuesday, because she was angry that I hadn't spoken to her on Monday, she said that she was going to a therapist and suggested that we should just be happy married. Then informed me she had seen a new therapist and detested her, and that she was ready for the madhouse. I received a call from her asking to go out for drinks. I went, and it was enjoyable. She continues by telling me that she was with another female while we were apart. She responded, "What the hell?" She really tapped in my head, and I agreed. It was lovely when we got home and had a private moment. The following day, a different person, and it has remained that way. I don't understand her, and I can't bear to go through this roller coaster ride with her. I'm at a loss for what to do, whether or not to make plans to move on in the future, and what about the kids? I'm in such pain. And why has this woman seemingly gone completely insane? What is wrong with her? She attempted to leave the family on Sunday, leaving a note stating that she hates herself, is unfit to be a wife or mother, and is not right in the head. After I transported her to the hospital and sectioned her, she had packed her belongings. She was behaving quite strangely. I spent every day with her, but despite her claims to love me, she continues to push me away. Her friend then texts me, stating that I've been nothing more than a meal ticket and that she's wanted to break up with me for a long time, which hurts me a lot. Now that I'm back on my own with the kids, I still want to be a family with her. What the heck is wrong with me? This year, she has been sectioned 3 times, endangering my children and lying to me on multiple occasions. Passes through my phone, takes my money. I can't work while taking care of children, therefore I ruined my previous business and I'm definitely going to ruin my new one too. Has cheated on me, but I'm still trying to work things out. Is it now appropriate to end things? How am I harming myself? It's definitely time, and I'm building up my inner strength, even though I know it won't be simple. Angel, when I met my counselor today, she advised me to focus on the kids and the business and to set the wife aside. I had to move on and begin to think about life without her. I don't have to let her inside the house because the court order is still in effect legally, but I also don't want to be unkind to her because she doesn't have any family and can stay with her buddy, who is a horrible influence. To put it succinctly, these include lesbianism, stealing, lying, cheating, and putting children in danger. I discovered out that she had an affair with a girl after the guy. What do you think of this woman? After 3 hospital sections and a significant breakup, I see trouble ahead if I continue to pursue our relationship. I must give up and let her go. After 12 years of wonderful times and 3 gorgeous children with this person, I simply feel so rejected in life. After 8 days in the hospital, the doctors ultimately determined that my wife had severe bipolar disorder. This is a really frightening illness, based on what I read. It explains all of this strange behavior, at least for the now. But what about in the future? A fear of something. Lying, wanting to X herself, acting irrationally due to this illness. And what will I do for the kids? She currently takes 4 drugs. She is, I suppose, one of the 50% of bipolar people who don't believe they have an issue. She desires to return home on Tuesday and reunite with her family. After learning that her friend had actually started the disagreement with me, I called my wife in the hospital to tell her that I was leaving the kids behind, which terrified her. She was my former wife, and I picked her up from the hospital on Tuesday, 1 week later. She flirted, told me how much she loved me, and said that we were going to move away. In the car, she held my hand, and I was overjoyed. She started to deteriorate 4 hours later and was never the same. She said yesterday that she feels toxic and is unable to be a mother, deal with children, or do anything else in front of my daughter's counselor. She then spent last night out with her friends and didn't return home until 2 in the morning. How in the hell? I requested her to depart this morning. She began to accuse me of harming the children by discussing with her how this bipolar disease would affect them. Then she stated she was a bad person. After packing, she departed. As you have all remarked, I am saddened once more and am currently here by myself with my 3 children. I was overjoyed for 4 hours today. My wife asked to return home a week after I threw her out, a few weeks later to everyone. She was essentially without a place to live. I let her stay for a little while, but she soon became more like the family than she had been and seemed to be going back to her former self. We feel as though we are nearly whole once more. The past 6 months' events are beyond me to explain, and I never will. I suppose the most important thing is that my kids are content. Am I content? Not yet, but perhaps later on. I'm working on becoming a better husband, but I've changed and become more seasoned. I'll keep an eye on her as she takes her prescription. Before she went into the hospital, I did find out that she had communication with the loser who moved into my house, but even then, she wasn't quite right. I think we're done with him now that she looks to be right. Now that I've experienced what occurred to me, she is constant. Who knows what the future brings? 2 years ago, after a year, my wife and I went through a terrible period. Her request for a break almost caused me to end things, and after that, my narrative turned into an online horror. You can still read it on this forum website if you'd want. It is just too amazing and lengthy to repeat here. Our union was ended. We harbored a deep loathing for one another. At one point, I spent days and nights thinking only about getting even, but I also had kids to take care of. She lost everything. I won. I let her go home gradually over a brief period of time. I'm not sure why, so don't ask. Perhaps the children. We gradually started to love each other once more. I recognized that I was somewhat to blame for my poor performance as a husband. However, even after 2 years, I still think about it frequently and find it difficult to let go of the memories. I still have moments of hate for what she did and doubts about my ability to trust her. She hasn't, however, since done anything to betray that confidence. She claims to adore me and go above and beyond for me. She claims to be joyful, but I can't help but think of the war. It appears that she has ignored it. How am I going to be content? I can't seem to let go of the memories. We did not part ways. I started everything, and these lawyers sure are rich. I had a really good lawyer. I sent my lawyer $5,000 down payment. At last, she hired a lawyer. He demanded a deposit of $300. She tried 3 times to get the kids back by taking me to court, but each time she was unsuccessful. Each time I had to go to court, it cost me $1,000. I was once dragged into a room by court security personnel until she left. She was freaking out and they thought she could try to attack me after the ruling. She is a totally different person now. That nonsense is done. It's not like she could be doing much better. Often, I find it hard to believe she did what she did. Personally, I find it incomprehensible that someone could do such strange things, but I hear stories like this all the time. A buddy of mine told me about how his wife got so enamored with this actor that she made elaborate plans to travel to Hollywood and try to win his heart. Women seem to bite themselves in the back for this wild fantasy bullshit. We are undoubtedly doing well. 4 weeks ago, I had major surgery, and ever since then, I've been recovering. Even before the surgery, I know that I thought about it every day, so I wonder if this isn't helping. It's only been eating me up recently. It's strange how your mind tricks you even after all the grief passes. My spouse is doing great, and our union is practically flawless. Perhaps that's the reason I consider the absurdity so frequently. Anything's remarkable that anything occurred at all. Maybe it was simply a nightmare, in my opinion. One of those situations that we've all had where we wake up sweating after discovering our sweetheart cheating. I admit that I still waste time trying to figure out how to make that guy pay for his long-gone behavior. I sometimes question if I'm not the first pick, and I see then how much of a loser he was. Yes, we still reside across the street from our silent neighbor, the person who informed me that approximately 7 years prior, he had seen her in my company with one of my staff members, a silly boy who had recently given birth to a baby and was engaged to his fiancée. She continues to deny it, but I can't help but think if she is ashamed by how ridiculous it is. After our reconciliation, I discovered a lot more about her. I came to see that these incidents were more driven by acceptance and feeling than by a desire to bond. A man's greatest concern is that his anxiety and bipolar episodes, together with her low self-esteem, were uncharged. Perhaps more than males, women fear emotional betrayal. Oh my goodness, you would agree if you seen these two fools. She returned to me after getting better, but I can't even feel that. The only reason is that I wasn't giving her the attention she needed, so they gave it to her. Now that I'm doing my part, she is as well. We embrace, laugh, kiss, and of course, there is intimacy. Things we hadn't done for a long time. Just when you think this is all, let me say anything. I received a continuation of this tale, a lesson in the consequences of giving them back. The important lesson. After I finish my breakfast, I'll